increase of an efficiency, of the effectiveness of the security teams. But the main principles of working is quite the same as in the SIEM. It gets a lot of data. If the SIEM is focused on all the products in the infrastructure, like next-gen firewall, like Active Directory, and so on, XDR is focused on, firstly, endpoints. Each XDR must be based on EDR, and then it also must cover other types of sensors, like network, like mail, web, and so on. And again, the main value for XDR comparing to traditional approaches for establishing security operations is in increased efficiency. It allows the team to work more efficient. And if you take a look at the so-called hype cycle, it is the concept created by Gartner, you can see that three solutions about which I'm talking, they are highlighted here. It is XDR, EDR, and SIEM. They are on a hype cycle now, and the SIEM solution is the end of the hype cycle. And if we'll check the hype cycle for the previous year, for 2023, on this place was a class of the solutions that called vulnerability assessment. And surely all of you are using some kind of vulnerability assessment tools, like maybe Nessus, Rapid7, and so on. And what is interesting is that vulnerability assessment was here in 2023, and in 2024 it just disappeared. It just disappeared. And what Gartner said, they said that vulnerability assessment, it is currently the part of this type of solution, exposure assessment platforms. Exposure assessment platforms, it is a development of vulnerability assessment. It adds not only, it allows to scan not only for vulnerabilities, but also for compliance check. It helps to prioritize discovered issues and so on. But the main idea is that some security domains may disappear and may be combined with another ones. So what we assuming with the SIEM and XDR, some vendors tries to say that XDR is better than the SIEM, or SIEM is better than XDR. We think that both security domains will be demanded, and both will live. And I hope then in hype cycle 2025, SIEM will stay here. But at the same time, we see that this solution is quite similar, and they must be developed on the same platform, on the same technological basis, and Kaspersky does these products in right this way. We are doing our XDR and our SIEM on a single platform, single management platform, about which Dmitry Chernetsky already said a few words. Meanwhile, it's all about security domains, security solutions, but what does customer needs? You don't need SIEM or XDR. Usually you need to solve some problems, some issues that you have. And what we see, if we will take a look at some researches, we see that the number of incidents increases, the complexity of the infrastructure increases. At the same time, the budget and the team size, the security operation team, does not increase so much. So to deal with this increasing number of attacks, these increasing risks, we need to address this so-called staff shortage trend. And the only way to address it is to use very efficient tools. For example, tools like SIEM and XDR. So let's look at the features, the product that we are offering, Kaspersky SIEM. Let's start with Kaspersky SIEM. We are really proud of it. We started the development of the SIEM in 2019. By the way, do you know when the term SIEM was coined? When the first SIEM was released? Any ideas? 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago? In the last century, decade. The term SIEM was coined by Gartner in 2005, 20 years ago. And at the moment, this market is really mature. There are a lot of strong players like QRadar, like Splunk. Maybe some of you are already using them. And meanwhile, we think that our CM is quite attractive. It has some competitive advantages because we have a chance to check all the CMs, to check all the leaders on the market, and to try to repeat all strong sides of these players and try to not repeat their weak sides. So what are the key advantages of the Kaspersky SIEM? Why we assume that our customers, you, should choose us? Firstly, because we are really flexible. We are flexible in terms of both licensing and architecture. The Kuma, it is the name for Kaspersky SIEM, Kaspersky Unified Monitoring and Analysis Platform. Kuma is built on top of microservice architecture. It allows to address very complex deployment schemes, because the infrastructure of each customer is quite complex. You had a lot of branches, you had different offices, you had different systems, and to address all this complexity, the only way is to develop product on a microservice architecture, and we do it in this way. And as for licensing, usually some CM vendors requires a lot of parameters for estimating the license, and they try to limit different parameters like number of the instances for the solution, infrastructure licenses, number of the log sources, and so on. We are counting only on EPS. We are licensing the CM only by EPS, events per second. And what is also important, we understand that in case of real incidents, the number of EPS, the number of events may be doubled or tripled. It may exceed the license limit. And that's why in case of exceeding the limitation of the license, nothing will change. The system will continue to process all the events that it receives. So we had no enforcement of this license limitation, and it is also quite important in case of real incidents. Another point about data storage, about our approaches for storing the data, because for the CM, storing the data is maybe one of the main features, and it is very resource consuming feature, because you have to store data for a long time, and you have a lot of data. It may be required due to compliance, or you just understand that you need to store data for a long time, for future investigations, for threat hunting. And usually CM vendors, they are trying to optimize the storage by adding two areas of storing, so-called hot data and cold data, hot storage and cold storage. And this allows to reduce the prices for hardware. But at the same time, in cold storage, you often cannot perform searches over this data. You cannot search over the data in the cold storage. That's why we approach quite another way. We are using three areas for storing data: hot storage, cold storage, and middleware, HDFS, Hadoop. It allows to reach two goals at the same time. It allows to use quite cheap disks to play this data, and at the same time it allows to search over this data. Of course, the search will be slower than in a hot storage, but you still can use cheap disk, you still can reduce the price for the hardware. Data relevance. As I said, the process of searching data, the process of storing data in our CM is very efficient. And what is also important is that we are using built-in threat intelligence. Kaspersky is a leader in threat intelligence, and we are offering all our customers to apply Kaspersky threat intelligence to all the data that CM collects. We see that in each event, we can identify three types of contexts that is important for threat detection and threat response. Firstly, it is information about assets, and we get all information about assets in the infrastructure from our own endpoints, from vulnerability scanning tools, so from CMDB, for example. The second type is information about user accounts that we can get, for example, from Active Directory. And the third one is information about observables, URLs, IP addresses, hashes, and so on, that we can get from threat intelligence. And thanks to Kaspersky Threat Intelligence, we can enrich the data ingested by SIEM with very valuable context from threat intelligence. About integrations. Integrations, it is the key feature of the SIEM. The idea of the SIEM is to integrate different log sources. Usually, our customers have more than 10 different security tools like next-gen firewall, DLP, antiviruses, and so on. And of course, you want to centralize all the security operations. And in Kaspersky SIEM, we have near 300 of connectors to third-party systems. But what is also important is that some of these connectors are bidirectional. We call it bidirectional. It means that we can not only ingest data from these log sources, but also we can respond over these solutions. For example, we can isolate computer using next-gen firewall by updating its policy. So we had very, very good integrations with our own products like Kaspersky EDR, Kaspersky NDR Kata, which Timofey described on a next session. And it is very, very powerful. If you are current Kaspersky customer, it means that, for example, you can use the same agent to get logs, to get events from hosts. You can use the same agent that they are using for antivirus or for EDR to get Win event log, to get audit the logs from Windows and Linux. It is very important, and it simplifies the security operation. It reduces the load for your IT and security team because you don't need to maintain, to administrate different agents and different integrations. About this point, we had a lot of discussions with our technical team because it is quite load point, yeah. But it is the truth. If you are using some competitor SIEM, right now you can try to estimate sizing for Kaspersky SIEM and be sure that up to half of the hardware that you are using for the current SIEM may be free after installing Kaspersky SIEM, because we can optimize data storage, and also because we had very optimized correlation engine. And finally, about multi-tenancy and MSSPs. MSSPs, it is more for partners, but multi-tenancy, it is important feature for each enterprise because you have different offices, you have different branches, and of course you want to separate access, to split access to the data very granularly. You want to configure a role-based access control, and with this multi-tenancy feature, you can do it. You can configure splitting the permissions for different events, depending on the source of event or depending on the parameters of the event, and it allows you to work with the data very carefully to split the responsibility between different teams, and it also supports the concept of unified IT and OT SOC, when you can use the same tool stack for working with OT segment and usual corporate network. And the responsibility for different teams may be split in the one product. Let's talk a few words about use cases. As soon as the SIEM is quite classical solution, I hope that you understand all of them, but so I will be very, very brief on this. First use case is log management, centralized log management. You can connect different sources to the SIEM and get all the data from them in one place. And what is maybe important here is that in Kaspersky SIEM you can configure retention policies at very, very granularly. You can set different policies for not just different types of log sources, but also for different events, for different event types from different log sources. And also you can store all the data locally. The Kaspersky SIEM works perfectly on premises. It can work without any connection to an internet, and we can, for example, put updates, updating of the correlation rules for fully isolated segments through data diodes. Another use case is threat detection, and as I said just before, our correlation rules that came out of the box and that are developed by our SOC team. We had more than 600 of correlation rules. I help you with this. So you can use some out-of-the-box rules to start working with the CM and then tune it according to your infrastructure. Incident response, and what is important here is that in the CM, in either CM without SOAR or XDR, we already have some response actions. We are supporting some auto-response scenarios when you can react to some incidents by triggering auto-response either in the CM without SOAR or XDR. And of course, threat hunting, when you are assuming that you already being hacked and you are trying to find some signs of this attack. Thanks to our search engine and our correlation engine that can perform retrospective scan, you can simplify this use case for you. A few words about architecture. We had just 4 key components. The first one is core. It is the centerpiece of our CM. It is management console. It also delivers API interface. And then we had 3 other microservices: correlator, collector, and storage. From its names, I think it is quite simple that collectors responsible for collecting data, normalizing it, correlator responsible for correlating, for analyzing data, and storage responsible for storing data, but each component had some interesting features. For example, collector can enrich the data, and correlator can run the response actions that I mentioned earlier, and the storage, it may be split to different spaces for storing data in hot storage, cold storage, HDFS storage, and so on. And also, of course, we had agents to get logs from isolated environments, so from Windows machines, from Linux machines. And as I also said earlier, if you are using our endpoint, our antivirus, or our EDR, you can use the same agent with the CM. As for integrations, I also already mentioned about it, but I just want to illustrate the list, the number of vendors, the number of security domains. And what also important here is, in case of something missed, if you cannot see the solution of the vendors that you are using on the screen, it's not an issue at all, because as a part of our premium support, we are committed to support up to 10 custom log sources with no additional fee, depending on your request. So it is a standard feature for our support. We'll be ready to develop some custom connectors for you to offload your team. Very briefly about the CM functionality. The log collection, we already discussed it, but again, I want to stress it that it allows you to take full control on your data to ensure full data sovereignty. Some very useful scenarios for asset inventory. If you are using our endpoint agent, it means that you can get all the information from endpoints, not just, for example, host name or IP address. You can also get information about installed software, about vulnerabilities related to this installed software. And based on this information, you can perform the correlation. For example, if, I don't know, if you observe some Visual Studio on a computer, that maybe this computer is related to some development team, and you can put this computer to the development team group and apply correlation rules related for the developers. Another interesting feature is about these different data storages. I already described it. Let's move forward. Finally, about EDR, and we are moving to XDR concept. Usually, if a customer are using CM and EDR, they are splitted. They are different products. And in real incident, how you can investigate it? You are searching for some events in EDR console, and then you switch to the CM console to try to find some other signs for this incident to understand the full picture. And you take your notepad and tries to combine all different pieces of information from endpoints, information from network, to understand the real root cause. In our case, you can forward all EDR telemetry from our own EDR to the CM to get this full kill chain, to get the full picture of incidents. About correlation rules, I already said. Let's move forward. Enrichment, it's already here. Built-in response, and here a few response actions that are available in the system. And as I said, you can run these responses by clicking in alert or incident card, or fully automatically as a response for correlation, as a response for discovering some alert. Yeah, let's move forward. Dashboards, of course, they are here. We have quite flexible dashboard engine. We are trying to do is as flexible as it possible. We are looking very carefully on Splunk, and if you are using CM, for example, not only for information security use cases, but also for IT use cases, if you are performing some health check with the CM, it will be also possible with Kuma. It is quite interesting feature because honestly I didn't know about any other CM that provides it. The configuration for the CM is quite complex. You have some correlation rules that include some filters, some conditions to getting some events, and these events are coming from some log sources, and you have some rules for these log sources, how to parse them. It is quite complex configuration, and we prepared a special graph to help to understand the real configuration of the system. Which rules are used on an exact correlator? Which log sources are required to allow these rules to work? Which log sources are required to correlate this exact use case? Which selectors, which filters for the events are required to work with these correlation rules, and so on. So all pieces of the configuration, all bricks that builds the full configuration of the system can be visualized with this graph, and you can analyze the relationships and the impact of changing, for example, one parser. You are changing one parser, and what you will affect, what use cases, what correlation rules, what dashboards you will affect. Everything will be on a graph. Let's move forward. Multi-tenancy, I already said about it. And a few words about XDR. The same question that I asked about the CM, do you know when the term XDR was coined? When first XDR was released? Do you know about it? Like in 2017, 2020? Any idea, please? There are no wrong answers. Please. Okay, let's play another game. Please, dear customers, raise your hand who think that the term XDR was coined more than 5 years ago. More than 5 years ago. Okay, so the rest of the audience assumes that the term XDR was coined less than 5 years ago, right? Okay, I understand you want to play. Just right answer. The term XDR was coined in 2018. It was introduced by Palo Alto's CTO, Nick Zurk, and Palo Alto was the first vendor who released XDR. So if you will check this diagram, you can discover that it is not fully true, because the first vendor who released XDR was Kaspersky. But we released it in 2015, but we didn't call it XDR. We called it Kata and Kix. But what was these solutions? It was a network sensor that combines network information with endpoint information. It's exactly the idea of XDR. And we did it in 2015. And then we had a quite long journey to the concept of open XDR, because this product was native XDR. It was closed. It didn't support third parties. But we understand that you, dear customers, had a lot of vendors. And we won't be the only vendor in your infrastructure. That's why, to be efficient, we must be open. And we are doing it. I hope we are doing it quite good. And right now, we are offering you open XDR that supports integrations not only with Kaspersky products, but also with third-party ones. And this is the scheme for our open XDR. It uses the same components as the SIEM use. As I said earlier, it is built on the same technological components, but it adds a few interesting features and sensors. As for features, in XDR, we can also have an investigation graph that simplifies the process of investigating incidents, that allows to put all pieces together to analyze the real root cause, the full telemetry that are available in the system. Of course, we had case management and playbooks to simplify the responses on the incidents. And we have some built-in sensors. What are them? Of course, EPP and EDR. And it is very important to have EPP as a part of XDR, because we must prevent as much as possible to reduce the load on the security team. If the security operations center will handle trivial incidents, they will just, their work will be very strange. They will look like finding a needle in a haystack. Yeah, so we must prevent as much as possible, and we are using our antivirus, our endpoint protection for this. And then, of course, we are adding EDR to get more telemetry from the endpoint. Another sensors are mail security and hybrid cloud security, because we think that one of the main attack vectors is the email. Our employees, our end users may receive some email, click the link, and incident occurs. So we are offering also email security gateway, and we are offering also hybrid cloud security as a sensor, as another type of endpoint, because we understand that all of our customers have cloud security. You have a lot of virtual machines, you have some cloud infrastructure, and of course you must have visibility over these sensors also. As for the rest of our portfolio, we support a very rich set of integrations with it. And as for third parties, it is also available. You can not only ingest data from third parties as in the SIEM scenario, but also use these third parties as a response tool in our playbooks. So a few slides about the features, about investigation graph. It is allows to not only understand the full picture of incident, but also supports contextual actions. You can respond directly from this graph over Kaspersky products or third-party ones. Playbooks, you can use some out-of-the-box playbooks that are available within the product, or customize it and use your own to increase the efficiency, to automate some routine tasks of your security team. About hybrid cloud, I already said, and mail security, I already said about it, and the full picture of Kaspersky XDR. So we have some products as a core sensors, some products are optional sensors. You can enhance Kaspersky XDR with, for example, threat intelligence. You can use other products. You can use our services to increase the awareness of your employees or your security team, and you can apply quite the same technologies to industrial segment. And about our offering for industrial segment, Andrei Strelkov will tell you in a few moments. My final slide for this presentation, I am finishing. This slide is about real use case. You know, in the last year, the Operation Triangulation was discovered by Kaspersky, we were attacked by some APT group. We didn't know who it was in person, but the idea of this attack was that the iPhones, the mobile phones of our employees were compromised with zero-click exploit. So the employee didn't need to click on some links or install some application. It just receives a message, special message, and being exploited and being infected. And we discovered this incident. We discovered this attack using our own SIEM and our own infrastructure. By analyzing the connections in the Wi-Fi network. Our SIEM allows to get net flows, and we analyze the net flow streams. We create some profiles for different hosts, for different assets, and our security team observes some anomalies in this behavior. So the solutions that I described for the last 30 minutes, they are proven on practice. It allows us as a company, and we are ready to disclose it, because usual customers not often ready to disclose real incident. We are ready. It helps us to face with a real incidents. Thank you for your attention.